What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So I've shown you how to record better videos. Now let's look into how to edit those videos and make them a little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to assume that you can figure out how to download and get DaVinci Resolve 15 installed on a Windows PC is what I'm working on. So I'm going to assume you can do all that and you already have it installed and you've opened up DaVinci and you're presented with a screen somewhat similar to mine. You may not have this databases section on the left here, and you most likely won't have any projects here with funny looking faces on them like that, you know. So you'll basically be presented with a big screen like this that has an untitled project. This area here, this whole screen here, is called the project manager, and it's where you can go through and you can find all of your different little projects and everything that you've worked on. So first thing you want to do is you want to come down here to new project. You can click on that and you're going to give your project a name. Let's do this one, editing tutorial. Alright, and then click create. Now what it's going to do, it's going to create a project. It's going to go through and do its whole thing, and it's going to open up a project for you for the first time. This may take a little bit longer because I'm using my CPU and everything to record this with OBS, so bear with me here.
One eternity later.
Alright, it opened up on the bottom screen, so I'm just going to drag it up here. Alright, so this is what it'll open up to. Okay, yeah, it's a lot to take in. So ignore basically everything you see right now, and let's focus on these tabs down here at the bottom, these 6 tabs. Actually, we're only going to concern ourselves with the media, the edit, and the deliver tabs. These are advanced things right here. You got color grading. Let's look at that and get you really overwhelmed real quick. Yeah, just absorb that in. And then the fusion tab, this is sort of like programming to an extent and animating and stuff like that, so we're not going to deal with that. And then Fairlight is your audio tab where you can do all kinds of stuff, mess with the equalizer and just all kinds of stuff. We're not going to worry about any of that. Okay, this is the main tab that we're going to be working in, the edit tab. But what do we edit? We have nothing to edit. There's nothing to inspect, no clips in the media pool. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go over here to the media tab. Okay, and we need to add clips down here into the media pool. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to come up here on the left side. This is going to have all your different drives and everything. So I'm going to open up my storage drive. I'm going to go to my videos. I'm going to go to ones for my phone. What did I do this one? Tutorials, video editing. Okay, and these are the clips that I've recorded for this video. So what you can do is you can click on them and you can hit play on them and play it and make sure it sounds good and make sure it's coming through and everything. And then you're going to want to drag it down here into the media pool. Now what you can do if you have multiple clips is you can just highlight them all and just simply drag them down in. Now it's going to ask you this. These clips have a different frame rate than the current project settings. Go ahead and change it. Ignore what the project settings are by default and just let it do your video. DaVinci, for it being such a high-powered piece of software, it certainly has problems with frame rates. So if your project settings don't match your frame rate on your videos, then you're just going to have all kinds of problems. So just change it, let it do its thing, let it automatically change the timeline frame rate to match the video format. So yeah, hit change and it'll add them down here into your media pool. Okay, that's all we need right now. We may come back into the media pool later to get some things like the logo for our video or whatever, maybe a outro video and whatnot. But this is all we need right now. Okay, ignore everything else. Don't worry about anything else here. I mean, you can click on this and you can see details about it. You can see what audio it was recorded with. You can see its resolution and what frame rate it was, and you don't really need to concern yourself with that with just basic editing. So we're just gonna add these to the media pool, and then we're gonna come over here and click edit. Okay, now I'm gonna grab right here. You can grab any of these areas that you get that little little arrow thing there, you can just grab and drag up to give yourself more room. Okay, and you'll see what pops up here. This is the main area that you're going to be working in down here. Okay, this is where all of your clips are going to go in. This is where you're going to do your editing and your cutting and everything for your videos. So first thing we want to do is we want to find our first video. Let's see, this one's, sometimes it'll do this where it throws them in at different times and whatnot. So I believe this one is the first one. Now what we can do to verify that this is the first one before we drag it in here and start doing anything, so we can come back over to the media tab and we can say, okay, yeah, that was the first one definitely. So we can, verify that by, yep, that's the first one. Okay, so you see how we dragged them in here, but I think it's because we selected them this way instead of selecting them this way. I don't know, DaVinci's kind of weird like that. So it'll jumble up your order of your videos in here. Sometimes I've had it to where there's no rhyme or reason to why it added the videos the way it did. But okay, we know this one is the first one. It's all in chronological order basically. So we're going to take and we're going to drag it down in here. Okay, and we want to get down onto this little bar right here, and we want to bring it all the way over here. We don't want to bring it too far because it'll disappear. You want to get your marker, and it'll snap to where that red line's at. It'll snap to the beginning there, and then you just want to release. Let it go. Boom. Now it'll show your preview of what your video is. Your final video is going to look like pretty much. It'll show that preview up here. So we can go ahead and play this and see what it looks like. I'll drag this down so it's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, and then you can also drag this here. So if you have multiple audio clips and you want to edit the audio clips, you can drag that up. You have multiple video clips and you want to edit those, you can drag that up. But we'll just drag that to about right there and drag this down a little bit more. You can also drag it from here too. It does the same thing on top of this little toolbar right here. It doesn't matter. So we'll hit play and we'll see. Okay, so it works. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll drag that back down again so we can do some more editing here. Alright, so when we dragged that in, it created a little timeline here. Don't worry about this. This is just, somebody out there that knows more about DaVinci Resolve can probably explain it to me, but this is basically where all of your clips get stored at within the media pool, and you have smart bin. I'm not even going to get into all that, but don't worry about the timeline one. Just make sure you don't accidentally drag it in. I'm not sure what that does. I've never tried it, so do it and find out. I don't know. Alright, so we're going to drag our next clip in here. This one's a little bit longer. And you want to be careful because you can easily cut off. You see how it's like cutting into that clip there? You can easily cut that clip off and just screw up a bunch of stuff for you. So make sure you don't do that. Make sure you put it right at the end of the clip. Like I said, it'll snap to it when you get close enough. See, it snaps. Boom. And then just release and let it go. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is drag our last little clip in here. And I always try to go past and then bring it to it. So I'm not, dragging it in and, doing something like this where I'm adding it to a different track or screwing up this track. You see how it'll like put it in between, so it'll cut that one in between the other one. So you don't want to do that, not with this at least. You can just drag it to the end and let it snap up to it and then release. Alright, so we've got our full video here. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the entire video and see what it sounds like, and maybe you'll be able to see areas that you should probably cut out of your video to make sure it's a little more clean and a little more to the point. So let's take a listen. Let's make this a little bigger first. Actually, here's a neat trick you can do instead of having to drag this up and down. I mean, you can do that, but if you want to get the video in full screen so that you can watch it in full screen, hit Control F. Well, it'll bring it to your other screen that I normally work on. But you can hit Control F and it will make the video full screen, and then you can hit space. So, see if I can figure out how to get that on this screen. Never mind, it's not going to work. Okay, but yeah, you can hit Control F and then the space bar, and the space bar is a savior. You can come right here, hit space, and it'll start playing wherever you have this marker at. Okay, so let's put it at the beginning, let's drag this down, and let's take a listen to it and see what it sounds like.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Alright, so real short video just to show y'all how to do some quick editing here. Okay, so you probably saw a few spots in there that I should probably cut out, and yeah, we're gonna have to cut some of that out. Okay, so we've got our clips added to our timeline. Okay, we've got our clips, added where we want them in the video. Now, next thing you need to do is you need to go in and you need to kind of, cut out spots that, are just dead air. Like you can see if you look at the audio here. Let's drag this down so that we can get a better look at this waveform. Okay, I'll drag this up a little bit here too. Alright, so you've got this waveform here. And this is, how you'll know, where you cough or something like that. You'll see like a sharp spike for a cough. But you see all these dead spaces right here. Those dead spaces are killers for your video. If somebody's watching your video and you have a section where you just don't say anything for a little bit and there's nothing really going on and you're just kind of looking off in a distance and collecting your thoughts so that you can continue with your video, cut that out of your video. Sure, record it with it in there. Get your thoughts out and just get it out there, get it recorded. But whenever it comes to making your video so people will watch it, you need to cut all of those little pieces out. Okay, not all of them. I mean, some of them you can leave in for dramatic effect, but like here, let's play a little bit. Okay, so there's just a little bit. In my videos, I try to leave that little gap at the very beginning just so that I can, on LinkedIn, they make the very first frame of your video is essentially your thumbnail, like on YouTube. So what you want to do is you want to essentially make the very first few frames of your video your thumbnail, so that whenever if somebody's scrolling through their feed and they see your video pop up, they'll see that thumbnail essentially for the first couple of seconds or first microsecond or whatever, and that'll cause them to kind of continue watching your video, because that's all YouTube is about. You don't have to have good content on YouTube as long as you have good thumbnails, period. So I leave this first little section. I don't cut that out. And let's play. Okay, so that's a pretty big gap right there. So how are we going to edit that out? Well, let's just go right past that. We can play it, and alright, I stopped talking about right there. You hear the end of my on gentlemen. So let's come in here and cut that. Okay, now you see it doesn't just cut the audio, it cuts this video as well. And that is because if you right click on either one of them, you'll see right here at the very bottom, link clips. Now just leave that as it is, because when you cut out your audio, you're also wanting to cut out your video too. You don't want to just cut out the audio and have your audio get totally out of line with your video, and that's just, you don't want to do that with this. So just leave this alone. I just want you to know that that's why when you click on one audio or one video section, it brings up both of them. Okay, so let's just click off of that. Okay, so we took this right here. You may see that. Took this here. This is called the blade edit mode. Okay, now basically it's just a razor blade, and wherever you have this marker at, or wherever you click at, wherever this little red line pops up at, wherever you click at, it's going to make a cut. So let's just cut right there. Alright, see, it made a cut. You can hit Control Z to make that go away. Okay, but that's what we did right here. We simply made a cut so that we can come over a little bit more, and we can end up cutting this whole section out. Alright, so let's go back just a little bit so we can play and we can hear where we end talking and then where we start talking again. Okay, so alright, so that's a good spot right there. So we'll click right there. We'll go back to the blade edit tool, and we will, don't click right here, because what that's doing is that's adjusting the audio volume. I'll show you that in just a second. But we come right over here. See, it'll kind of, that red line will snap to where you have the line at there. So As long as you're right there, it's good. So click, and it'll make a cut, another cut. Okay, so like I said, this will right here, this will adjust the audio volume. Since there's no spikes there, you don't see it, but that's what it does. Okay, so we've made two cuts here. So what we want to do is we want to click on that cut, and we want to come up here, and we want to click ripple cut. Okay, now I'll show you what cut does, and I'll show you what ripple cut does. Okay, cut will do this. It will just straight up cut that piece out. Okay, it doesn't move any of the rest of your clips to the left, it just cuts it out. So now whenever you play it, you have something like this. That's not what we want. You know, we wanted to cut that little gap out. We didn't want to create an even more obvious gap. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to hit Control Z to bring that back. You know, we still have it here. Alright, and we want to right click on it, and we want to hit ripple cut. Now what ripple cut's going to do is it's going to move everything, it's going to delete it, and it's going to fill that gap, and it's just going to move everything back to the left. You know, it's going to move all of your other clips back over here to the left. So now what we end up with is something like this. You see, there's a little bit of a gap, but not very much. And then you see right here at the end, there's just a big gap right there. We want to definitely get rid of that. So we want to come over here, you know, and I'm using space instead of pressing up here. You know, I'm using space to play and pause it. Okay, so we bring our cursor a little bit back and we listen, and whenever I get done talking, that's when we pause it again. So alright, now we could probably go back a few frames right here and bring it right to the end of that. Okay, and let's see, play that. Yeah, it's just, there's no sound there, it's just dead sound. So we'll click right here, and we will go back to our blade edit. Okay, now this one's a little bit easier because we've already, this is the end of our first clip right here. So we're just going to come right here, we're going to edit that, or cut that, and then we're going to come right here, and we're going to ripple cut. Now since this is the end of the clip, that's what I'm saying, this is what makes this easier. You don't have to make two cuts, you just have to, well, two blade cuts I should say. You just have to do the one and then ripple cut. Boom. Okay, so when we play it, we'll find there's still a little gap right here. Okay, so that's not a real significant gap, but we still wanna get rid of it. So okay, we talking a little soon there. Now see if it's doing like that, like you can't quite, like you can see there's still a little bit of the waveform there. You can't quite get all the way over there. Come over here, and you'll notice all of this here. Hit the zoom, and that will zoom you in a little bit more so that you can do this. Now be wary when you zoom in too far, it uses more processing power because it's displaying more of the video thumbnails right here. So be wary when you zoom in too much. Don't do the bulk of your work, editing work, zoomed in. Just zoom in for fine little details and then zoom back out. Okay, so we want to come right here to the beginning of it. Let's play it and see if I cut anything off of what I'm saying. Nope, sounds pretty good. So we'll make a cut right here. Okay, and then we will go back to our little selection tool. You can do it with this selected, and you can just right click. But I've noticed that sometimes, like, see how it changes the video up here as I'm moving the blade edit, like that uses processing power. You know, so I just come over here. This doesn't cause the video up here to start scrubbing through essentially. So I just use the selection tool instead of using the blade edit tool most of the time. So this is all dead space, so let's again ripple cut. Alright, and let's go ahead and zoom back out, like I said, so we're not using all that precious processing power. And let's give a listen to everything we've got so far up to, I'd say, around this area here. Alright. Alright, so we've got another little cut right here that we could zoom in one time to get a look at. Let's go a little bit back and play it so that we can see when we stop talking exactly. Alright, so we stopped talking right there. Alright, so we're going to blade edit mode. I'm going to edit that there. Go back to the selection tool. Now again, you can just keep the here. I'll even show you. Let's play this. Okay, so we'll just go right there, and we'll cut that. And again, you can just keep the blade selection tool and right click and ripple cut, but I like to use that. So, alright, let's give it a listen. Okay, well obviously we want to get rid of those uhs and ums and all of that. So, but we do want to keep the and. Okay, so it looks like right about here in this little valley is where we're going to be saying Yeah, okay. So it's because it starts sounding like duh. Alright, so let's make a cut right there. Okay. And let's see, how long do we say for? Okay, so we say until about here. Now we want to keep this I as well. Okay, so we want to come right before it. We'll say that's good enough. And we'll click right there. Alright, so all of this here is pretty much just Okay, so we want to go ahead and just ripple cut that and get rid of that Alright, and let's go back a little bit and give it a listen, see what it sounds like. Alright, well we want to get rid of that as well. Okay, so let's see, when do we stop saying I? Right about there. Alright, and we'll give it a cut. Again, don't accidentally click here because then you're going to be messing with the volume, so just click here. You can also just click up on the video, it doesn't matter. I normally do it with the video instead of expanding the audio. I just want you all to see exactly what I'm doing here. Alright, so let's play and see. Okay, so we start saying something intelligible right about here. Alright, let's play that and just give it a listen, see if we got it right at the right spot. Yeah, okay. So let's blade cut, and let's cut it right there, and make sure we're deleting the right spot. Listen to it again. Yep, that's the one. Alright, so ripple cut that. Okay, and let's just go back a couple of cuts and see what it sounds like. Alright, so okay, we got a little section right here we could probably edit out a little bit and do right there. Give it a cut, and we'll give it a listen. That looks good right there. We'll cut it right there, and then we'll go to a ripple cut. Alright. Let's see. Listen, go back. I always go back a little bit because sometimes you have so much going on in your video that it takes a second for it to kind of like buffer, so it'll be a little video will be a little jerky, and it takes a second for it to start playing at a smooth frame rate that you'll see. Where does it play the frame rate at? Yeah, right here. You see, whenever you start playing, focus right up here whenever I hit play here. See, sometimes after you make a cut, that will show up with a lower frame rate, and then it'll fix itself and buffer up and get up to the proper frame rate. But okay, so I'll go back a little bit and we'll listen. Alright, so that's all good right there. We're all speaking right there. We stopped talking about it right here. So let's say that looks good. So we'll do a cut right there, and we'll just clip this part out. Ripple cut. You can do ripple delete, but I try to stay away from delete because you never know. Just sometimes delete doesn't work properly, and it wants to delete an entire, no matter what you have in the other tracks, it wants to delete everything in all of them. So we'll just stick with ripple cut. Alright, we'll cut that out. Let's go back just a little bit and give a listen, see what it sounds like. Alright, so we got a few things we need to cut here. We want to make a cut right there. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Alright, we want to make another cut right about here, and then another cut right about there. And then we'll go ahead and ripple cut that. And we want to do another one probably about there, and ripple cut that. Alright, so let's play this and see what it sounds like before we go on. Alright, so let's give this a play from the very beginning and see what it sounds like. I'll make this a little bigger.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Alright, so if you notice, there's no little gaps in there. There's, it's kind of clean and to the point. It sounds a little bit better than when you're kind of like what I'm doing right now, where I'm trying to collect my thoughts and there's little gaps between what I'm saying. So, it sounds a little better like that. Now there's a few things we can do to kind of improve upon this. Okay. One, we can add some subtitles. Another thing I like to do in my videos is I like to have a little bar down here going across the screen that indicates like the time of the video. It slowly moves down as the video gets further in and almost done. So I like to do that. I like to add subtitles, and I also like to add like actual titles. Like I was saying here at the beginning, you want to put kind of a thumbnail for your video at the very beginning of it. Well, with these little selfie videos like this, where this is technically 1920 by 1080, but it recorded on my phone in 1080 by 1920, so you have these big black bars on the side. I like to utilize those instead of just having black space. I like to utilize those and put in, the name of the video or what I'm talking about in the video. Give people some kind of context so they don't have to actually watch the video to know what you're talking about. So it helps. If people just see a guy sitting here talking, they're like, well, what the hell is he talking about? And some people, they'll be curious enough to click on it. Other people, they're just like, oh, it's just some guy talking. I don't care. So you have to give them some kind of a reason to actually, either click on your video or to continue watching your video without sound. So let's see. Let's go over here to the left side. Still in our edit tab here. Let's go over here to the left side, and we'll click on titles. Okay. If you don't have this, I believe you click Effects Library. Yeah, you click Effects Library right up here at the top left, and that'll bring up this little section here. Okay, and then you want to click on Titles, and you want to go over to Text. Not Text Plus. Text Plus uses Fusion. Any of these that you see the little lightning bolt next to them, they all use Fusion, and it uses a lot more processing power. They're technically animated texts. So you've got like this one here, 3D lower third plane slide in. So what that's going to do is that's going to bring a text in from the bottom third, and it's going to slide it in. I guess it'd be right about here, but it's going to slide it in, and then it'll probably slide back out. You can't really do too much customization with the 3D titles and animated titles within DaVinci. You probably have better luck with Premiere Pro or any other one. But so we're not going to concentrate with any of that. We're going to concentrate right here on just standard old text. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag that over here into our timeline. You notice how it brings it up into its own little video slot. That's what we want. Now you want to make sure you see how it's grabbing it right here and trying to snap it to that, and you're not actually all the way up to the edge here. So we want to bring that all the way up. You notice how it pops up title up here. Alright, so now we've got title. It's not where we want it, obviously, but what we're going to do is we're going to drag this down. Oh, wait, our title disappeared. What are we doing? No, we don't want our title to go away, so let's drag this up and make that audio track a little bit smaller. So we can then drag that down, and we can see all three of our tracks here. Okay, we've got our title track here. Now, how do we get it off our face? Click on it. Click on it, and you're going to see up over here what is called the inspector. If you don't have that, click the inspector. Click the little inspector button, it'll bring it up. So anything you click on, like if we click on this video, it brings up different video options and whatnot. So we could zoom the video in so you can really see my nose there, or just hit reset on that. Okay, so we want to click on our title here, and we want to go up here, and we want to, let's say, what do we want this one to be? Video to, well, editing tutorial, that's what I called it. Editing tutorial. Alright, now let's choose a different font here. I like to use Impact just because I like to use Impact. Okay, and I like to give it a little bit of a tracking here. I throw it up to about 20. Oh, come on. About 20. You can slide on this, you can slide on this, or you can just type in. Okay, so I like to give it a little bit of tracking to, kern out those letter spacings there. Line spacing will actually, if you have like 2 tracks here, line spacing will actually affect how far away they are there. So I'm just going to reset that and delete this. Alright, so we got editing tutorial. Now it's on top of our face here. We don't want it on top of our face. And we probably don't want it that big. So let's drop that down to, say, 100. 100 looks good. Alright, now we want to go down a little bit. Still underneath this same thing here. We want to go down to position. Okay, now position X is going to move it left and right. Position Y is going to move it up and down. And if you move it too far, it'll slide off the screen real fast. So, and even if you're moving it real slow, sometimes it'll do it. So just be aware of that. So I'm going to reset those. Alright, now where do we want this at? I'm going to put this one over on the left side. Okay, do it about there. Leave it about middle. Okay, we don't want to get our text too much smaller, so what we can do is we can come up here and hit enter to add that onto its own line there. And then I like to go to alignment and line them up like that to where they're centered on each other. And then we'll come back to position X. And we'll just kind of center that up in that black spot right there. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now it's a little empty over on this side. Now you could add a drop shadow, and say you want a blue drop shadow. Okay, and you can increase your drop shadow. I like to go about 8 and -8. And see, it just gives a little bit of a glow. Now you can turn the blur and the opacity down, and it makes it a lot sharper. And that's normally what I go for, is a little bit sharper. But you can play around with these settings and get what you want from it. Okay, so stroke and background, I don't really worry about that. Background, if you turn background on and you say you want like a yellow background, hit OK. You then have to come in here and adjust the height. So adjust the height, adjust the width. Boom, you can have background, you can, where is it, corner radius, you can adjust the radius, so you can round it off or, sharpen the edges, you can do all kinds of things with it. But we're not going to mess with that. We're going to drop its height back down and just turn it off. Alright, and stroke is another thing you can mess with. You can turn stroke on, you can set the stroke to a certain color, like say that, and then you can bump that stroke up. And what the stroke does, I don't know if you can really tell, but the stroke, let's turn drop shadow off so you can really see it. The stroke just adds a little bit of a boundary to that text. See, there's no stroke, and then there's way too much stroke. So we're not going to go with stroke. We're just going to turn that off. We're going to leave our drop shadow on. Alright, so that looks cool. Now we need something over here. So let's raise this up a little so we have some more room to work with down here. Let's take this and let's right click on it and let's hit copy. Let's just copy it, apples for apples. Alright, now whenever you copy a track, video 2, video 1, whenever you copy something from a track, it always wants to paste it onto that same track. Okay, so if we were to just paste it here with the timeline bar right there, if we were to just paste it right here, it would just delete and go over the top of this text. So I want to actually come right over here and click past it, or right on it. There's just because there's, a cut that's a little different there. We want to click past it and click here and click paste. Okay, and see, it just moved our time bar all the way to the end there. So now we've got it on the same one. See, so wherever you have this clicked, or wherever you have this time bar at, and you hit paste, it's going to paste it directly where you have that time bar at and over whatever's there. Okay, so if you're, say, like, you say something in this clip right here that you actually want to transfer and move to right here, like you want to copy it. You don't want to just transfer it. Like you say it multiple times in the video. It's like your catchphrase or whatever. But you only recorded it once, but you want to use it multiple times. You want to, copy that, and then you want to go all the way to the end of your video, and you want to paste it here, and then grab it and move it where you want. So like this, that's essentially what we did here. We're going to grab it, and we're going to move it up here on top of this one. So we have video 2 and video 3 tracks. Those are both our text tracks. Okay, so let's move our time bar back over here so we see what we're working with. Okay, so right now, we just got that. Okay, so let's come down here to position X, and let's drag it over to the right side. Okay, let's kind of, center it up. That looks about good. Now, we want to say something else here. I don't know what we want to say. Let's say DaVinci, and we're going to do a space Resolve 15. Boom. Editing tutorial, DaVinci Resolve 15. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so, and I just clicked off of that to, get rid of the inspector there. Just make everything a little clean, less busy. So, let's see. We play that. The text doesn't do anything, it just sits there. We're not worried about it moving or anything. No, but we don't want it to just get to this point and then just disappear. So what we want to do is we actually want to just grab the ends of these and grab it with that one. That other little one right there, like you get the double and then you get the single. Those are useful for multiple reasons, but I'm not going to get into that. Just get the little double one here and just drag it out until you get to the end of your video. And then do the same thing with this one. Just get the little double and drag it on out. Alright, so now this text will go all the way to the end of our video there. Okay, and that's what we want. We want it playing throughout the entire thing, taking up this black space and given something to indicate what the video is about. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to bring in one of our logos. We're going to bring in a logo, and we're going to put the logo right down here in the video. So I'm going to go from the edit tab, I'm going to go back over here to the media tab. Okay, and you've got your media pool right here. You've got the folder that you've got selected over here. Now you can also just drag something in from your desktop. So I'm going to drag, let me see if I can find it. I'm going to drag in my logo. I'm just going to drop it right here within the media pool. Boom, nice pretty logo right there. Okay, so let's go back over here to edit. And we've got our logo here in our little media pool. Let's drag this down just a little more, give ourselves a little bit more space to work with. And we want to grab this logo, and we want to just drag it in right here. We want to make sure we get all the way to the end here. And we want to just let go of it. Okay, yeah, that's obviously way too big. So we want to click on it to bring up the inspector. And we want to come over here and see these are locked. So you can unlock it and you can skew out and mess your logo up real quick. So don't do that. Hit this little arrow button here to refresh it back to what it initially was. Okay, then we want to take and we want to drag that down, and I think I normally do mine about 0.25. Okay, we don't want it on our face, so let's go here to the position X. Let's drag it over here, kind of center it up. Oh no, we're not going to center it up. We're going to bring it all the way to the edge, and then we're going to drag it down, and we're going to kind of center it up here in this corner. But we're going to do it a little bit taller than a little bit further away from the bottom than we have it from the side. Let's do -400. that works. Alright, I'm going to do it like that, and I'll show you why right now. Alright, let's drag this out. Let's drag it out to the end here. Okay, because we want our logo there the entire time. Okay, so now we play it. You know, our logo's there, our text is there. Now, like I said, the last thing I want to do is I want to do a little bar that goes across the bottom here. Now, there's numerous ways you can do this. You can go into Fusion and you can animate animate your logo. I did that at one point where I actually animated and filled in this area where I actually had a circle that goes around it that would, slowly count down, and there was a little percentage number in here, but it would slowly count down as the video went down. That takes a lot of processing power, and it's not something that, at least that I know how to do, it's not something that I can reuse, like create it one time and reuse it multiple times in the rest of my videos. So I found something that's just a little bit easier and a lot simpler. It doesn't use as much processing power. It's really useful. So I'm gonna drag that up a little more, give ourselves more room so we can add another video track here. Or we're going to take text. Same one we used for these two here. We're just going to take text. We're going to drag it over here. Again, make sure you get it all the way over. See, sometimes if you don't have it in the right spot, it'll just disappear on you. See, it's nowhere to be found. So make sure you get it over here. Make sure you get it right there and let go of it. Okay. So now we got another title. Okay, let's go ahead and drag this to the very end. Alright. And let's click on it to bring up the inspector. Now first thing, let's leave that there for a second. Let's come down here and let's go to background. Okay, it's ticked on. That's when it's red, it's ticked on like that. Let's go to background and let's change this color to something. Let's use that same glowy blue that we were using. Alright, so let's select the color and then go down here to height and drag that height up. We don't want the height. See, you get real big movements here, but then you can fine tune it a little more here and slowly drag it down. So let's drag this down to, I don't know, say 0.05 looks good. Alright, 0.05. Now let's go to the width, and I normally just do this. Click on it, double click on it, hint 1, enter. Okay, now see, that moves it all the way to the edges. Even though you still have the little rounded radius, it moves it all the way to the edges. Let's drag down a little so you can see that. And you can drag down, and then you can scroll up and down through your different tracks. Okay, but you see it goes all the way to the edges. So let's come here and let's turn corner radius all the way down. So it goes flat from edge to edge. Okay, now let's scroll up here and leave position X alone, but come to position Y and just drag it down to the bottom of the screen. Okay, and you can drag it down a little past. It doesn't matter if the text here does not matter, because we're going to come up here and we're just going to delete it. Font family, none of this really matters at all. Okay, the only thing that really matters is position, where you have it positioned. You can have it up at the top. You can do it from the side if you wanted to, and all of that. But this is mainly what we're going to focus on here is position. Okay, and background. So you want to have your background set up. You want to have a width of 1. That's very important, because 1 is basically the entire distance across the screen. That's your full width of your screen. Okay, so 1. And height doesn't really matter. You can have this as high as you want or as small as you want, just as long as it's visible. Okay, and you can change the opacity if you want. So you don't have this funky purple popping up here. You can just jump that opacity all the way up. Okay, and I think we'll do that for this one. Okay, so that's really all you need to focus on there. But now, how do we make this move? Okay, and that's where you get into keyframing. Okay, so we're here at the very beginning of the video. So our very first keyframe is going to be here. Okay, so we want to come over here to position, and we want to click this little dot right next to it. Click it and it goes red. Now what that does is that adds a keyframe in at this point. Okay, so the very beginning of our video, we're going to have a keyframe at 960x and 5y. Okay, we're not worried about the y at this point. Okay, I know I said before that's what you want to focus on. That's getting it positioned where you want it at. But to animate it, we're going to ignore y and we're going to focus on x. Okay, now this is super simple. Okay, you have 960. 960 is, again, that's for x, for here, for the position, that's the width of the screen here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go over here to the end of our video. We want to click here to bring our little time bar here. Okay, we want to make sure we're still clicked on our text. Okay, and we want to add another keyframe right here. You notice there's an arrow that shows that there's more keyframes. Okay, so if we come all the way back over here, that's that keyframe. It's indicating with the little arrow. So you can come here and you can click like that and it'll take you to the previous keyframe. Okay, so we want to click here, make sure we have our time bar timeline text clicked, and we want to come to the very end of the video. We want to click here on position X. I want to double click. I'm just going to use the left arrow to move over. I want to throw a negative there. That's it. That's all you want to do. Throw a negative, hit enter. Now you notice when we hit enter, that time bar basically disappeared. It's all the way over here. Okay, so if we go back to the beginning, you notice we have a keyframe there now. It's red. So if we come to the beginning, now we have a keyframe here. So we can jump back and forth between these two keyframes by just hitting these little arrows here. Be sure not to hit this arrow because it'll reset everything you just did. Okay, so we're here at the beginning, and let's see what doing that simple little negative animation does. Alright, you notice how it jittered a little bit right there in the middle. That could be just because I added that, and it's it's still doing a little process, a little buffering or whatever. So let's play through it again and see if it still does it. If it still does it, it's probably just because I'm recording at the same time. But let's see.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, you notice it didn't do the little hitching, right about here-ish or so. It didn't do the hitching this time. That's because it had to do a little bit of buffering. When you first play, it does a little bit of buffering and basically caches all of that information and everything. So don't worry about it if it starts doing that to you. It won't end up in the end result. Like if you don't have a very powerful computer, because I've worked on some pretty intense videos here, and I do have a fairly powerful computer. I mean, it's aging at this point, but my computer still has issues with that every once in a while. So don't worry about it too much. It doesn't show up in the end result. Whenever you go over to the Deliver tab and you start to actually output your video and all of that, you don't got to worry about it. So that's basically everything you need to do here to edit your video and do your cuts and add in your little titles and your logo and this little time bar thing. Now you could do a lot more advanced stuff. Like I said, we're not even going to look at these three tabs here really because they're so advanced. I barely have a grasp on how to use the edit tab, much less how to use these. I've played around with them. I've done a few things, but like some color correction and whatnot. Like a neat thing you can do is you can change this orange shirt that I'm wearing. You can use the color tab and change that to a blue shirt or change that to a green shirt or whatever color you want. Change it to a black and white shirt. You can do all kinds of stuff with the color tab, and the Fairlight tab is pretty damn good for editing your audio and whatnot. But we're not going to even touch on those. Next thing we want to do, okay, so let's cover what all we've done here. We've gone to the media tab, we've brought our videos in and added them to the media pool. We've gone into the edit tab and we've brought our videos into the timeline and we've edited our video for precision, and we've cut out any of the little ums and ahs and uhs and the spots where you're just kind of trying to collect your thoughts. We've added in a couple of titles so that people know what the video is about. We've added in our logo so people will know who the hell we are. And we've added in a little time bar. So this video's done. This video is ready to be exported and all of that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here. I should have been doing this all along. We're going to come up here and we're going to hit Save Project. And you're going to let your project save. You'll notice up here, like if I say play a little bit. Okay, yeah, you'll see now it says edited and it's gray. That means there's minor editing done, there's not many changes. When it goes yellow, that means there's a little bit more editing that's been done, and when it goes red, that's basically, hey, you need to save me, so just be wary of that. Save your project as often as you possibly can, because you never know when you're going to do something that DaVinci's not going to like and it's just going to shut down. Okay, so save often by File, Save Project, or you can hit Control S. Okay, so we want to do that often. Oh, you know what I forgot? What we need to do? I totally forgot. We need subtitles. Yeah, we need subtitles. Let's go over here to Edit. Alright, now I'm gonna drag this up, get it out of our way. I'm gonna drag this down a little bit. Alright, now what we want to do is we want to right click right here. Okay, and you see there's add track, add tracks, add subtitle track, delete empty tracks. We want to add subtitle track. Okay, so that's going to give us a subtitle, an entirely new track. So see, we have a new line right here that separates audio, video, subtitles. Okay, so we want to come over here and we want to right click and hit add subtitle. Now again, it's going to add that subtitle wherever you have this bar at. Okay, so we had it here, we hit add subtitle, and it did that. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to first just drag this down, give ourselves a little more room here. You notice it'll drag the subtitle track down over your video track, so you can just do that to give yourself more room. Alright, and we want to go over to track style. We want to make sure you're clicked on the subtitle track, click on inspector, and you can come over here to track style. Click on that, and again, I'm going to go with impact, because I like that text. Here they call it kerning. On this one they call it tracking, but on the subtitles for some reason they call it kerning. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna bump it up to 20. Okay, and it just spaces those letters out a little more. All right. Then we want to come down here, and I like to drop mine down a little bit more so it's not right on my beard there, and I drop it down to 115. Okay, and I try to stick with just a single line instead of multiple lines of text, just because it's easier all around for me. Okay, so let's also we don't want it to have a stroke. We want it to have a drop shadow, and we want this drop shadow to be 8 by -8. We want no blur, and we want it full opacity. Okay, so now we got a little black behind our subtitle there. Now you can also subsequently, actually I might do it for this one, I'm going to turn off drop shadow, and I'm going to turn the background on for it. Okay, so let's give it a wide width. You don't really need a super wide width, you just need it to go past that section there. Okay, we'll just do that. That looks fine. You won't see it when it's over here, so if we'll just leave it at that. That's fine. So we'll come up here to captions. Move from track style to captions. Okay, and then right here is where we're going to type in our subtitles. Hey, this is what I'm saying. Blah 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 blah. But you notice, see, it doesn't really matter that the background doesn't continue past here because you're not going to see it anyway. Okay, so let's delete this and let's give a listen and see what we're saying over here. Okay, so in this first one we're going to say, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, and I end up saying gentlemen ends up right about here. Okay, so I start talking right about there. Alright, so let's type in, what's up, ladies and gentle, I got an extra space there, gentle, I can never spell that right, and I always do an exclamation point, because I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, what's up? So, we got that typed in, that looks good. Alright, so, let's just continue on, and I'll go through and do all of these. And alright, so this is my intro here, obviously. So let's see. And you can, if you don't feel like zooming in and whatnot, you can just use the arrow key to go frame by frame. So let's add another subtitle, and let's say this is my intro. Is that all I said here? Yep, that's all I said there. So make it easier on ourselves instead of trying to, put this here and put this here. Let's just go with where the track ends at, where we made our cuts at earlier, and we'll drag that back. Alright, so this is my intro. Forgot a period here, so let's put a period there. And then I say, this is the bulk of my content. So let's type that in. This is the bulk of my content. Right, and if you notice, I haven't said too much that's gonna extend this out much further. But if I was, let's say this is some extra words. See, it starts getting out there. So what I'll do then is I will just hit enter and do like that, or just move it to an entirely new subtitle. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag this back and say like there. Is that about it? Alright, so then we want to put an and I in here, so let's add subtitles. And I, and then what else did I say? And I will have to edit this out. Edit it, let's see, where do I end up saying edit this out? Okay, so we can just drag that to right there, and let's add a little comma. I'll have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all that. So let's add another subtitle and fix it and cut it and all of that. So let's see. Alright, so I end up stopping speaking right there. Drag that back. Alright, so next thing I say is, and this is my outro. Let's do that one, exclamation point. I'm really telling you this is my outro. Alright, so let's click about here. That's where I end up stopping talking. Let's just drag that back. Let's add a new subtitle. And this, I'm pretty sure I say, y'all have a good one. So, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab that. I'm going to drag it back. Boom. Alright, now let's give this another listen before we go over and get a little ahead of ourselves and start trying to deliver this.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Alright, so that looks pretty dope. That looks pretty good. We got subtitles in there so people know what we're saying without having to click on our video. We've got titles so that people get an idea of what our video is about so they don't have to watch it and figure it out on their own. We've got a little time bar to let them know exactly how long the video is going. And then we have our little logo so they can remember us. Alright, so I think now we're done. So let's go ahead and save our project again. And now let's click on the Deliver tab. Okay, I know there's a lot going on here, but don't worry about it. This is your entire video timeline here, basically. Okay, and so if we hit play.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Alright, so and it'll autoplay, it'll auto loop from this mark in, mark out here. Okay, so we want to make sure render entire timeline is set on. Okay, because if you render the in out range, like this in out range here, I'm not going to mess with it too much, but say you didn't like this last little section of your video here, the y'all have a good one, you didn't like that, you want to cut it out, you can just take and drag this over a little bit, and that will be your in out range. Now we don't want to do that. We want to go back up here, render entire timeline. Alright, so don't worry about anything you see here. Don't worry about any of that. Come up here. This is the section that we're going to be focusing on. Okay, now don't worry about any of this here. Just leave it on custom for now. Okay, you want to obviously have export video checked. Format and all that, I just leave all of this exactly how it is. I don't really mess with it much. I don't lower the quality. I just leave it at best. You can restrict the quality so that you have much smaller videos, but I have a fix for that. I actually use another piece of software that after the video is exported from DaVinci, it will condense it down and just compress that video a lot without any quality loss. So I don't worry about any of that. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to come all the way down here to the bottom, all the way to the bottom to subtitle settings. Okay, and then we want to go to export subtitle. Now you can do this two ways. You can either export it as an SRT, and like if you get on YouTube, YouTube will say, hey, you want to put subtitles on your video or closed captions on your video, bring in an SRT, import that, and if somebody clicks captions, boom. I ignore all that and I just go here to burn into video. Burn into my video. Subtitles are always there. It's much better for most social media. YouTube is a little different. If you're making videos for YouTube or something like that, you want to give people the options of turning on or turning off subtitles. But for most social medias, you want subtitles because people normally don't click on your video and actually hear you. They just see you talking, and if there isn't subtitles there, then they're just going to ignore you. Okay, so I come all the way down, turn on, bring this down, and export subtitle, and click burn into video. So what that's going to do is it's going to look exactly how we just edited it. Okay, so we don't want to mess with frame rate. I mean, technically you can't actually mess with frame rate. You can't change that to anything else. We don't want to mess with this. And I mean, you can down res it to 720 if you want. I wouldn't try going up res because that just probably won't look too good. But that's what you want to do. Okay, leave all that alone. Now I don't know if this really does much of anything, but I always come over here to audio and I change the bit depth to 32. I don't mess with anything else. I don't change it to AAC. I don't change it to the timeline track or anything. I just change this from 16 to 32. Okay. Then we want to, I don't normally mess with the file tab here at all. I mean, I don't, 0%? Okay then. Yeah, I don't mess with this tab at all because I come up here to browse to actually save where my file is or video is saved at. So I'm going to do it in my LinkedIn video editing tutorial one here, and I'm just going to call that editing to, why do I keep hitting Y? Tutorial, and let's save it as, what is this, clip? Yeah, I'll say this is clip because I'm going to actually record or edit all of this video that I've been recording. I'm going to edit it as its own video, and I'm probably going to call it editing tutorial, or 01 or something. So, alright, I probably should have named this clip, but we'll save that right there. That looks good. Alright, so it's saved where you want it to. You're rendering it as a single clip, not individual clips. If you do individual clips, it'll render this little clip, and this little clip, and this little clip, and this little clip, and you'll have numerous, single clip. That's what you want. Single clip, entire timeline. Okay, so that all looks good. Advanced settings, don't, just ignore all of this. Don't look at any of that. You want subtitle settings, export subtitle, and burn it into the video. You want to make sure you got your audio bumped up to 32-bit depth, and you're saving it where you want. Alright, everything's good. You've got your name for it. So let's go to add to render queue. Now what it's going to do is it's going to pop it up over here on the right side. This is your render queue. So I don't know that it really means, well, yeah, it does. Okay, you want to click and you want to make sure you have this highlighted. Okay, Click it, highlight it, come down here to start render. And it's going to render your video out. It's going to save it where you told it to save it. And yeah, well, let's do it. Start render. So it'll show you how long there is, progress and all that. Okay, boom, completed in 9 seconds. Alright, now we don't have to do anything more within DaVinci. Okay, we can shut down DaVinci at this point. Okay, let's drag this up onto this screen. There we go. And let's see.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is my intro. This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it and all of that. And this is my outro. Y'all have a good one.
Alright, so we got a nice little video there. Part of the problem is how big these sizes are. Look at that, that's an 18.7 megabit or megabyte, whatever. That's pretty large for an 11-second video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Handbrake. I'd totally recommend getting this for all different types of things. You want to open up Handbrake and you want to go to single video file, and I want to go to where I have that saved at, that one, and then I want to open it. Alright, I'm just going to open it there, and it's going to do some funny stuff. Okay, see how it moved it over there? So I'm going to come here to, first I'm going to come here to presets. Okay, I'm going to go to web, and I'm going to go to YouTube HQ 1080p 60. Okay, boom. Now we want to come over here to dimensions. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's started doing this weird thing with me where you see it's 1852 by 1080. It wants to crop the video. So I just come here and I set all these back to 0. I don't want any kind of cropping on that. And then I want to set this to 1920 by 1080 and autofill in because keep aspect ratio is selected there. Okay, so par 1 1920 by 1080. That's what we want. We don't want that funky stuff, so we come back over here, see it push the 15 back away from the edge. That's what we want. Okay, filters, don't worry about filters. Okay, video. This part is fairly important, at least for what I do. You want to come here to frame rate. We don't want 60 FPS because that was a 29.97. So, and we don't want to select 29.97 either. We want to go to just same as source. Leave it what it is. Let it auto detect. And we're going to constant frame rate instead of a variable frame rate. So it is always at 29.97 frames per second. Okay. Now part of the reason we went to the YouTube 1080p by 61 is so that we can go here to the quality section, constant quality, and we want to lower this from 20 to 22. That's all I do. Lower it from 20 to 22, and that's at times cut my videos in a quarter of what the size was before. So it compresses the video, but it doesn't really compress quality. Okay, and then you can go to audio, and I like to leave mine on a 320 bit rate, just because I set it in DaVinci to 32, and this those numbers are very similar. So 32 and 320. It just makes it easier to remember. Subtitles, don't worry about subtitles. You have it burnt into your video. You don't have to worry about any of that. Chapters, don't worry about any of that either. So come back to summary. You want to make sure you're formatting it as an MP4, not an MKV, but you want to leave it like that. Leave all of this here alone. Don't adjust any of that. Leave it what it is here. You're using H.264. You have a frames per second, a constant frame rate. AAC, even though it shows, okay, it is AAC. What was it I was saying that I didn't change? Oh well. Yeah, AAC, it's in stereo. Don't worry, it's got burned in subtitles. Don't worry about any of that. Size is right, 1920 by 1080. Alright, so everything's good. Come down here to browse. Okay. Click browse and find where you want that video saved at. Give it its name. This one is editing, and see, this is the same clip. So I'm going to click it, but I'm going to delete the MOV because we want it to save as an MP4. If If you save it as a .mov, it's just going to convert it over to an MKV, and you're going to have problems, I believe. So make sure it's not .mov, MP4, and hit save. Alright, so it's got it saved where you want it to. Now just come up here and hit start encode. Now see down here you have the option when done, shut down your computer, quit handbrake, do nothing. I just leave it on do nothing. Okay, so start encode, and it's gonna do its thing. And boom, cue finished. We can just shut down handbrake now. Alright, so let's shut it down. Alright, so we've got our initial clip here. I'm just gonna leave that alone. We've got our initial clip here. Okay, so it's, what did I say, 18.7 megabytes. And then we've got this one, 3.45 megabytes. Exact same video. There's no, let's look at it. There's no,
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
there's no
This is
loss
my
in
intro.
quality.
This is the bulk of my content, and I will have to edit this out and fix it and cut it.
Yeah,
and
there's no loss in quality. It's just, it's significantly smaller. Okay, so that's what I like to do. I keep both of these, even though I need to go through my computer and delete all of the larger ones, because some of them are like 4 or 5 gigabyte videos that I compress down with Handbrake to like 200 megabit videos. So yeah, I need to go through and delete a whole bunch of stuff. But you can go ahead and delete your larger video, your movie file, and boom, you've got your MP4. Now, what you do from here, that's entirely up to you. You can upload it to YouTube, upload it to LinkedIn, upload it to Timbuktu, I don't care. But that's how you edit your videos with DaVinci Resolve 15 and Handbrake. So I hope this was useful for y'all. I hope y'all have a excellent day, excellent week, excellent month, excellent year. So y'all have a good one. Take it easy.